everyone, my name is Passek, FlyFish Fanatic. Welcome to my tying bench. Today I'm going to tie a little Chironomid pattern, a little buzzer pattern actually. I call it the Green Avenger, but it's just what I call it. It's really just a kind of a green chromy buzzer, but it's kind of a cool little pattern. I've done really well with it on days, so let us switch over. So doing a big hook today, just so it's easier for you guys to see. But it's a Hends BL550 in a size 8. I do tie them in an 8, but an 8, 10, 12, 14. I don't usually go much smaller, at least in this hook, than a 14. Semperfli NanoSilk, olive for the thread. I'll be using some Semperfli Chartreuse, fluorescent Chartreuse for the rib. I'll be using some black Spanflex for another one of the ribs. And then for the cheeks, I'll be using some Semperfli fluorescent green Goose Biots. And for the underbody and the wing case, if you want to call it, I'll be using some flat pearl tinsel in a large. Okay, let's go. Get her going. A few steps to this one, but it's still a fairly easy fly to tie. Biggest thing with this one is keeping proportions right, and again, especially if you go into the smaller sizes, making sure that you take your time on it and get the proportions right. So last thing that I'm gonna bring forward is the first thing that goes in. So that is gonna be the floss. So now I'm gonna leave a little bit of room here for the thorax section, but bring this all the way back around the corner. I want this one around the corner quite a ways. Okay, and then back up. Doesn't matter if it's a little bit of a loose, like open turns. Now, what I've done for the black, for the black Spanflex or Stretch Flex, you see the size difference? It's kind of hard to tell. This one here, I've actually stripped. There's 2 of these in this. So each one of these is actually, you can split it and it's 2. So that's what I've done on this. So it's just a thinner. I don't want as thick of a rib. So this is just black Spanflex. Get a couple of good turns in it and then stretch it really good, just to keep a fairly thin profile. Get all the way down to that tie-in point where I stopped with the floss, and then come back up again. Just going to tie this stuff all down. The abdomen, or thorax, is going to start in about that area anyway. Just get that out of the way about there. So, but now I'm going to cut me off a piece of large pearl tinsel. You can do medium too. It just, it just gives me less wraps. That's all. But it's really irrelevant for this pattern. The reason I like using the large is for the shellback section later on. I like having the large, just because it gives me a little bit more coverage. Okay, and then come back again, and I'm just going to stop in front of there. Okay, so last thing tied in is the first thing wound. So I'm going to wind that. And I'm just gonna, I don't want it really to overlap very much. I want this too thick of a body. Nice and tight. You can hear that kind of that squeaking. Okay, now I'm gonna come back with my thread and meet that and tie that off. Okay. Do my vice turn. I don't know why it always goes blurry every time I turn. I know it's closer, but I don't know. I have to figure out why it does that. But I'm going to actually turn this light down just a little bit, get a little bit too much glare. There we go. So now I take my black span flex. It's going to come back just a bit on top of that there because I want it slightly bigger. And I'm going to counter wrap. Okay. I want to counter wrap. Leaving about a couple mil space between each wrap. Okay, and then I'm going to stop right there. Tie that off. Okay, giving it a decent stretch. Give it a nip. Now, this floss, see how fuzzy it can get, right? See, right? So make sure you lick your fingers. Try not to have too rough a finger. But now what I'm doing is I'm licking my fingers a bit and then I'm twisting, making this into a nice rope. And then I'm going to go the same direction that I went with the black. And I'm going to go right up against that black. Right up against that black. And you see how it's starting to thicken there? I'm just going to give that another twist. I'm going to give it another twist. Another twist. And another twist. Because I don't want it to thicken too much, right? Now I'm going to come back again with my thread. And I'm going to tie that floss off. Now I will nip off that floss. There we go. So there is my body complete. Now I'm going to just build up just a little bit in the front area here. Come back to about there. Build up a little bit more. So now I'm going to take that same piece of oval tinsel. I'm just going to cut a little pieces of, flat tinsel, the pearl, just a little short piece. And I'm going to tie it in right on the top here. So I'm going to start it on the side and allow it to get pulled over onto the top. Come on, you little bugger. There you go. And just make sure this stays centered. So I'm just going to make sure, see, kind of centered right on that hook. I come all the way back to my tie-in point there. Okay, and all the way back forward again to just behind the eye. 2 goose biots. Now you can use, if you've got like some Chartreuse stretch floss, you can use that as well here. I just really like the goose biots, especially these ones from Semperfli. They are I'll show you in a second what I mean. They really stick out. There's the other one. I don't know if this will show up on the camera, but so there's the goose biot. Look how that just shines. It just glows, these things. So they're really UV, heavy on the UV. So, okay, so underneath, starting right at the front, and just tie it up all the way back. And I want that kind of underneath on the side. It's kind of not quite underneath, but same here. I'm going to go back forward. I'm going to tie it in right there and let it pull it under. I want that side out. Yeah, there we go. So let that pull it under a little bit. There you go. See? Kind of on the side under. Okay, now I'm just going to build up a bit of a football shape head here. I want that shape. Now I'm going to actually loosen my fly off and I'm going to tilt it up a bit, just so it flattens out. Okay, and again, just build up my head here. I'm just going to move this light too to see if that'll help. There, that's better. No, it doesn't. Not so much glare. There's so much UV and stuff in this one. It just pops at you, right? So just want to make sure that this has got, you know, it's a predominant head here, that it's bigger than the body, which that is. So now I bring my flat tinsel, pearl tinsel over top, tie it down, give it a good pull, lift it back, one in front, lift it off. Okay, bring both my biots carefully. Doesn't matter which biots you get, they all are semi brittle. Just want to make sure these are going upwards. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now I'm going to do one set of whip finish. Gotta be a little bit more patient with these little buzzers. I mean, like I said, this one's quite large, so it's easy for me to see, but when you get into those 14, 16s, they're pretty hard. So okay, so now I'm holding my NanoSilk very tight. You can see I'm really bending that hook, and I'm grabbing my biot right by the bottom, and I'm just gonna break that off. So it just came off nice and clean. Same with my side. Break that off. See, my side didn't come off quite as clean, which is not great, but it's not bad. I will now just take my thread and just clean that up a bit. Just get that to fold back and go over top of it. There we go. So just build a little bit of a head right there. Do one more whip finish. Nice and tight. And now it's just coating it. And that is totally up to you which way you want to go. You can do a Sally Hansons if you want. You can do a UV rate coating. I'm going to do UV this time, and then I'll finish it with Sally's. So some Gulf Thinman. And I'm going to start on the head. Make sure I've got my head nicely covered, because this is the part that is a bit more sensitive, especially those goose biots. They will break easier, so you just want to make sure that those are all covered nicely first. So I'm not putting a ton on, just a little bit. Look at that pearl tinsel shine. But you got that green coming through underneath right from the thread, so it's not like a super shine, it's just that it just gives it that pearlized sheen, right? So a little bit of a cure, and then just on the body, same thing, not too much. Just want to make sure I cover. Close my. So now I take this, it'll just spread it nicely, both sides. Make sure this side's covered as well. Underneath. That's all nicely coated. Zipper zapper. Ooh, look at that shine. So hard for you guys to see it, but I mean, that green floss just pops. And those goose biots as well. So it's hard for you guys to see. All you guys see is shine, but so I do that. That's nicely cured, and I'll take a little bit of Sally's, and I'll just give this a quick little coating of Sally's, and then I'll let this harden by itself. Not going to do anything with it, right? And sometimes I'll put a second coating of Sally's, but usually not. It all depends on how well it worked out the first time, but that one looks pretty good. So that's it. That's the little Green Avenger. You see what I mean by that? See that pearl when you on the up in here? That pearl, the shellback, how it just picks up the light. You can still see the olive green through it, but that shellback just picks up that light. And then there's those goose biots, when you hit those on the side, look at them just shine right up. And same with that fluorescent floss, right? But those black ribs really stick out, and then you've got that pearlized underbody where you can still see a little bit of that olive coming through it as well. So, alrighty. Hope you guys like that one. Give that one a try. Like I said, it's been a pretty good fly for me. So, give that one a shot, and yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon. Hopefully, you guys like that. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you've subscribed, thank you. If you have not, please consider doing so. And we'll see you on the next tying video. Tie lines, everyone.